going to tell you a little story. Many years ago, I was on the playground at primary school. The bell went. It was the end of playtime, so everyone started lining up outside the entrance to go back in to school. And just as I was turning to set off back towards the classroom, towards the queue where we were all waiting to go in, I could tell there was a little build-up of tummy gas inside, and I thought, oh, I'll just pop that out, just do a little fart. Anyway, squeezed out this little fart. But I learned a lesson that day, never to trust a fart, because I did this little fart, and it felt like it was like somebody had poured a tepid cup of soup down the back of my trousers. And yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. I basically did a shart, and it went down the back of my trousers, and so I didn't know what to do, so I took my jumper off and I tied it around my waist, which covered up the back of my trousers, and I went into this toilet. I took my pants off and I threw them in the bin, and I did my best to sort of clean myself up, and I was panicking, and I needed to get to the classroom quickly because break was over and it was really stressful, and I did my best to kind of clean myself up, but my trousers were like, there was some shart on my trousers, if I'm honest. There was some shart and I couldn't get rid of it. It was a stubborn shart. I mean, it was wet, so what can you do? The damage is done. So anyway, I did the best I could in a difficult situation, and I had to sit through the next lesson smelling a bit funky, if I'm honest. It was pretty difficult. But then it was lunchtime soon enough, and I had just enough time to get in my car and drive home, because I was a teaching assistant and I was at work, and I was 36 years old, and it was horrible. It was horrible, but that's the kind of thing that sometimes happens to you. I think I was under quite a lot of stress at the time. I was. I'll put it down to that. I was also drinking a little bit too much as well. I don't drink anymore, but yeah, drinking a lot doesn't help with, if you've got a problem with sharting. Drinking doesn't really help you with sharting. Quite the opposite, in fact. But anyway, that leads me on to today's topic, which is sharting. No, it's not. It's not sharting. Today's topic it's the W word. It's a 4-letter word beginning with W, and it's not one of my all-time favourite things to do. It's not that W word. It's a different word. It's the work word. It's something which is one of my, historically at least favourite things to do. I'm just enjoying the bank holiday, having a little walk through the nature reserve, and I don't have to go to work till tomorrow. Oh, I just realised, you probably thought by 4-letter word beginning with W that of something I really like doing. You probably thought I meant, oh no, I meant warp, like I can run so fast. I like running because I can run so fast. I call it warping, like warp speed, like on Star Trek, you know, because I can run very fast, especially with my special new trainers on, with my orange laces. No, I'm kidding. Who doesn't? I did mean that. Who doesn't like a good old-fashioned whack? Yeah, my mum got me this just for my birthday, this ring light. You're supposed to use it like this, aren't you?
Ancient chorus.
It's fantastic to see you here. Thanks for coming. This is episode 4. I can't believe we're on episode 4 already. I'm quite pleased with we're getting to episode 4. I mean, this is like week 4 and episode 4. So far, I haven't let you down. I haven't let myself down. I haven't let anyone else down. I'm quite happy with this. Thanks, you guys have been super nice, by the way. So, yeah, I'm hearing some lovely stuff. So thanks very much, guys, for your support, because I'm really enjoying doing this. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking a bit about work. Work. It's a terrible, terrible thing that we all have to do. And I think the Bible puts it down to women. It's all your fault, women. It's women's fault. Women's fault for taking that snake's advice. She ate the forbidden fruit. And I think God punished us all by saying that man had to toil in the... Anyway, never mind. It's not your fault, women. Well, at least I don't blame you. And we all have to work. We all have to work, don't we? So, and I've seen ladies work. I mean, not a lot. Joke, that's not true. I've seen ladies work all the time. And, oh no, I'm doing it again. I keep digging holes. I'm very good at digging holes. Actually, I have dug holes. That is one of the jobs that I've done. I worked for a builder once. Well, I'll start at the beginning. I'll come back to the building thing later on. Yeah, so work. Ugh, hate it. Well, I have hated it in the past. At the moment, I quite like my job. One of the first jobs that I really had when I came back from university, I got a job in a cake factory in the town that I lived in. I started at 6 in the mornings, and I worked a half day on Thursdays. So and then I had to come in on a Saturday and start at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. But at the time, I was 21 and all my mates were around, and it was just the best thing I could possibly do on a Friday was just be with all my mates, going around the town, getting drunk and whatever, and just having a great time, and messing around on the park, going to the pub, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was quite difficult to have to start work on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. when you're 21 or whatever. And so I said to my boss, I was like, excuse me, sir, would you mind if I could please, I'll work a full day on Thursday. This is what I'm suggesting. I'll work a full day on Thursday, and then I can not come to work on a Saturday. And this is what he said. He said, sorry, you signed a contract, so you agreed to do these hours, so you can't change them. I was like, all right, okay, fair enough. The next week, I got to work, and my boss was like, okay, so Saturdays, you're starting at 4 in the morning. And I was like, the fuck I am. Anyway, I went out on a Friday night, got absolutely mullered with my friends, and then I set the record for being the latest to work that he'd ever known. In fact, it was the latest to work I've ever been. I was meant to start work at 4, and I got there at 11 a.m, so that was 7 hours late, which was pretty good. And I handed my own notice in as well. I didn't, because I signed a contract so I couldn't change my hours. They could think that they could change my hours? Nah. But anyway, one of the jobs that I did, it was the first job that I did where I really felt like sort of empowered, and I really learned what I was capable of, and it was quite brilliant. It was wonderful, really, because when I grew up, I always had asthma and eczema when I was little. I was like allergic to dairy and stuff. And I just kind of grew up feeling a bit like I was just wary of like getting my hands dirty and getting stuck into stuff like, outdoorsy. Spoke to a friend who knew this builder, and I went to speak to this builder, and I got a job as a building labourer. And I wasn't sure that I could really cut it, but I had done some building experience with my mum. No, not with my mum. She ran the company, but she didn't. She was the boss. She didn't like. She wasn't there on site. But anyway, I'd got bits and I got some experience with kind of some aspects of building, but it wasn't like proper labouring. Really, it wasn't proper labouring the way that I found out proper labouring is. So I got this job where I was working for this guy and I was like mixing cement all day, like while he was building, and other times I'd be carrying bricks up on top of the scaffolding and like setting it all up so that he could keep going, and or both at the same time, and he would just be screaming and shouting at me to go faster. And basically he sort of worked as like little tiny donkeys, like, yeah. And anyway, my first day, right, this is not really acceptable, but on my first day, right, I got to work. I've just met the guy, and he's like, he literally walked past me, and he was like he with his hand like this, he just went, huh? Huh? And he cupped my nethers. He cupped my nethers, and I was like, what? What? And he went, oh, you didn't like that, did you? And I was like, no, I didn't like that, no. And he goes, oh, don't worry, you'll get used to it. No, seriously, that's what he said. And that kind of set the precedent for going on. I mean, that is by definition, that's sexual assault, that's sexual abuse. And but that was like par for the course on this job. And I'm sure it's not like that on in every site. And I'm not gonna, I don't think that affected me that badly, because I already had very bad mental health anyway. So it's not like it didn't. I know that a similar thing, things like that can happen to somebody, and it can ruin their lives. But that didn't happen to me because my life was sort of already my self-esteem, as I've spoken to you about before, at this time, my self-esteem was in tatters anyway, so it didn't feel, I wasn't like hurt by it. And anyway, but another thing he did sometimes, if he was feeling a bit frisky, he'd pin me down and stick like dribble into my ear and stick his tongue in my ear and be like licking around in my ear, and I couldn't fight him off. So that was pretty bad. And then he reduced my daily rate of pay because of an accident that I made that really was because of the kind of working environment he was creating, where he was basically screaming and shouting at me, and then I made a mistake, but he was literally shouting at me, engaging all my attention while this mistake happened. Basically, I let go of some machinery that I was meant to be holding on to because he was shouting at me and asking me questions. So I did that, and then it was a whacker plate, and it went off and it knocked some blocks over that he'd laid with mortar on the ground. And he'd laid like the edgings to a path, a driveway, and this whacker plate, like, I was holding onto this whacker plate, and it went into the blocks because he was so busy shouting at me, going, Henry, come over here. And anyway, so that was the end of that. Basically, it wasn't the best job, but you've got to watch out, because some people out there, they're just going to take and take and take and take. Now, not everyone's like that. And a lot of the time, I mean, I was looking into it a bit. By sort of definition, work is an agreement where someone has like an operation or a thing going on, and if they give you a job and if it's not your business, and if it's not your business and you're taking part in somebody else's business and working to support it, then by sort of necessity, they need to get more value out of you than they pay you for. So really, when you're doing a job, and the person paying you, you're doing something that's of more value to the person, to the company, than what you're being paid for. But if it was the other way around, they couldn't afford it, and it wouldn't get done, and you wouldn't have a job and you wouldn't get paid. So we have to kind of understand it. Like if you work for an agency, the agency sends you out to work for a company and they charge the company loads more than you get paid because they need some money, and then they give you the money, and then the company is paying more than altogether. They have to pay loads because they're paying for the agency and they're paying for you. But if they didn't, you wouldn't have that job and you wouldn't get paid at all. So it's a bit of a balancing act. But anyway, eventually I decided to move on. I didn't want to be a builder anymore. I thought, if I keep doing this job, I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 40, because it's just like it was wearing me out. It was wearing me out. And so what I did is I'd had some experience in primary schools before, and I got into being a teaching assistant, and I loved it. It was fantastic working with kids. It was just great, and I enjoyed it. I think I was very good at it, and I've got sort of arty skills, and I've done some, obviously my music thing was part of it, and sometimes some jobs I'd bring my guitar in and play songs in assembly, and it was cool. I really enjoyed it. And then in 2015, like I said, I did cognitive behavioural therapy for 2.5 years, and because I'd got into a point where I didn't believe I could achieve anything that I had decided I wanted to do. Like I'd been saying for years, I wanted to record an EP, and my band had already broken up several years before that. My degree didn't work out, and so what I needed to do to work on my self-esteem was to use cognitive behavioural therapy to help me to finish my qualification as a level 3 teaching assistant, and I did. And it was fantastic. It was great. It worked out. And I got that qualification and I became a teaching assistant, and it was a job that I was proud of. I was proud to do. It made me feel good inside. And I tried working in secondary schools. That was not for me, because if you work in a secondary school, you've got to be like, the kids are going to battle you. You're going to have psychological battles, mind games. You've got to dominate and control, or you have to be a figure of authority. And I'd like to think I'm a figure of authority. I'd like to think I'm an imposing, terrifying character. But if I'm honest, I'm not. So secondary schools weren't for me. But primary schools, now we're talking. I mean, because they still believe that you've got some kind of authority. If you slightly raise your voice a little bit, or, frown a bit, they're like, they start shitting themselves, basically, and they do what they're told. So that was great, and I really enjoyed it, but ultimately, there wasn't enough hours. If you didn't have a contract, I was doing agency work a lot of the time. I didn't make enough money to support myself. In the summer holidays, I had to get a different job. I ended up labouring again, building, for a different builder, a much better one. You're right, Tom. My good mate Tom. It was his building company, and he gave me a lot of work in the summer holidays. I still think I could call on him if I fell on hard times, and I could go and do some building work with him, and that was great, sort of. But I wanted more for myself. I knew that I was capable. I hoped that I was capable of something more. Anyway, long story short, I decided I needed to retrain again and do something that I was like proud to do, that was exciting, and it would be sort of fun in a way, and I'd get paid more money. And I'd always liked the idea of driving for a living, and so I became a lorry driver. But work can be hard. People who can go to work every day and they're never late, that is like wizardry. That's like pure magic. I don't know. It's like some kind of mystical art that I don't understand. I've met people who have had the same job for 15 years, and it's like, how do you do that? How do you not get sacked? But some people are just amazing like that. If you go to work every day and you're never late, you are an incredible person. You're an incredible super trooper, basically, and I don't know how you do it. But if you're a creative person, or if you're trying to kind of build a business, or if you've got kind of aspirations that are to do your own thing, and your work is more of a day job, that's the only bit of advice I can say, really, is just go to work every day and never be late. I've been horrible for being late to work, and it's actually it's like a secret shame. It's not even a secret because everyone I've ever worked for has noticed it, and I've never meant to do it. It's never been on purpose. I'm just a bad person, and just in the morning it's just like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, oh god, I'm gonna be late. And it's just this horrible like dance where I get into this pattern where I'm just late all the time for work, and it's horrible. I absolutely when I'm in it and I'm being late every day for like sometimes weeks on end, every morning it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But all I can say is, if you go every day and if you're not late, that is like the fundamentals of employment. If you can do that, that is incredible, for one thing. To not have, let mental health or physical health or any kinds of problems impede your ability to work and be consistent and to always be there. That's a kind of power. That's a strange kind of power that not everybody has, and really you should have a pat on the back if you're not late ever for work. But yeah, we all have to work, and we've all got to do something. I love the job that I have as a lorry driver. I'm really proud of it. It kind of excites me going to work. It's fun, and at the moment I'm not being late, which is great. I haven't sharted at work, which is fantastic, and nobody's been cupping my nethers. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and I'm quite happy with that. But if I could like end up making music and videos all the time as my full-time job, I'd be pretty excited about that. But you just got to keep going, keep doing the best you can. Imagine there's no reason on this earth why you can't do anything you want to do. So it's just like a mental exercise. What would that thing be if you could do anything in the entire world? It's just gonna be like, yeah, here you go, mate. Here you go. This is what you need. Here you go, have it. You need a bit of this. You need to do this course, do you? Here it is. Here's this course. Oh, you can't afford it. Okay, here's the funding. Here's the funding. Anything else we can do for you, sir? Mum? Yeah. So imagine if there was nothing stopping you because you were basically the emperor of the universe. What would that thing be? Do that, and you if you live with purpose, if you decide what your own purpose is, in sort of a world where you could do whatever you like, it really kind of helps, and it helps you to get up each morning. It helps you to direct yourself and have a bit of a compass. It's that sort of thinking. It's like, what can I do? And when I'm becoming a lorry driver is probably the best. That is the most empowering and best decision I've made, is that I wanted to become a lorry driver, and it came actually from that kind of thinking a bit. I was like, right, I need a new job that's exciting and fun to go to, that I get paid for, and what would that job be? And I thought about a bunch of different ones, but then I was like, yeah, lorry driving, and it was scary. I didn't think I could necessarily do it at first, but then I thought, no, I'm not a complete dumbass. I'm a normal person with a normal brain. If you show me and give me the lessons on how to be a lorry driver and show me how to do it, then I'll know how to do it, and I think I can do it. And I did it, and that was pretty good, and I'm pleased with that. So yeah, that's my work. That's my word on work. And it's not always a picnic. It's not always fun, and there's been times when I was just like, no, And I was driving myself there going, please, no, please don't make me go, please don't make me go, please, 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 can I turn it? And I'd like tell myself at night, I'm not going in tomorrow, I'm not going in tomorrow, I'm not going to do it, just to make myself feel better, because I hated it. I was having such a bad time and it was miserable. But anyway, you know, work, we've all got to do it. And if we just keep going, and if we're never late, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Yeah, I just wanted to have a little word with you about work. I wanted to chat with you about work and talk to you about my experience with it. Yeah, work sucks, I know. Anyway, I hope that, you know, it's not like I had any great advice for you there, or wisdom or knowledge, or had done much research or had any facts or figures, but hopefully me sharing my experiences of work, good and bad, over the years, hopefully sharing that with you might be of some value to you, okay? Anyway, it was lovely talking to you. I hope you're all right, and I hope you are taking good care of yourself. And thanks for coming along to the Tars Henry Channel Show. And yeah, here's to the next year of going to work and not sharting. Okay. See you later. See you next time for episode 5 of the Tars Henry Channel Show. Tars Henry Channel Tars Henry Channel Show. Tars Henry Channel Show. Tars Henry Channel Show. Tars Henry Channel Show.
The Tars Henry Channel Show.
Tars Henry Channel Show.
It's this angle again. To the trees, to the trees. I always think of that when I'm here. You know, from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I suppose not everyone's seen it nowadays, but I loved that film when I was a kid. I think it still holds up today. But there's a moment in it when the dad from I Was a Teenage Health Freak, he goes, to the trees, to the trees. So this new ring light is pretty good, it's pretty good. Look, you get those cool little circles. Got those circles in my eyes from the ring light. I've gone blind now. Also, look what else it can do. Look what else it can do. Da-da-da-da. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. Wow, that's pretty cool, man. Wow. Cool purple. Nice. Oh, yeah. That's turquoise. Anyway, let's go back to normal. Oh, no. No, hang on. Ah, shite. Can I just go back to normal, please? Thank you. Flipping heck. Oh, that's nice.